That's really exciting. Yeah.
How long did that go on, that training?
It was about a 3 or 4 week training, and Wally Dobbins was a trainer for the obstacle course. Of course, coming right out of track, I was in really good shape. A lot of those guys were college guys, 3 or 4 years in college, and we would do calisthenics up by the barracks, where we had the barracks. We'd have breakfast, and then we'd do calisthenics, and then we'd run down to the units. And it was probably about a half a mile or so.
This was all at 9 Mile?
Yeah. And I could take off, and just be down there and put my chute, take a rest by the time the rest of them got down there. So I was in really good shape. And,
well, so then there was you were jumping out of Hale Field then in Missoula when the fire season started.
Yeah.
They just moved you into the barracks? Or?
They went to the Fort Missoula. And I didn't have that experience because they had to sign up for projects, and I just signed up someplace. And because I was late, I got into the barracks with the old men. Max and Norm Allen were in there. They'd just come from Spearfish. They were going to school at Black Hills State. I don't know if you got to know Max Allen or not, but he's quite a character. They were there, and George Ostrom was in that barracks. These were all the old men. And so that's who I knocked around with, because the new men were all in another different barracks. But I signed up for something. Max says, "Oh, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go. Get your name on." So I erased my name. And there was West Yellowstone, and I'd been on this fire in Yellowstone Park. So I just signed up there. I didn't know what it was. And so that's what I got. There was 4 of us who went to West Yellowstone with Max, with Bob Gorsuch. And what I didn't know, when we got there, we went down to Mammoth and did the same thing, filled out all those forms, and we became Yellowstone Park employees.
Huh.
We weren't Forest Service employees.
Huh. Yeah. But you were jumping out of the, where were you, where was
West.
They had an airfield there and all that?
There's airfield's still there. They don't use it. Field's still there, and there's an old part of a hangar there. It was pretty good shape. It was an open hangar, but had a little partitioned off little building we used as a stored our chutes and stuff in there, and we firmed that up so it was more secure. Put that famous Forest Service lock on it. We had a packing table in that hangar, and then we lived inside the gate there, just inside the gate of the park.
So you got exposed to the whole range of activities just as in your first year as a new man.
Yeah.
You really did.
Yeah, that was really great.
So were you packing chutes too?
I wasn't at that time, no. But Bob, being a squad leader, he had to have that. He packed the chutes, Bob Gorsuch. We never packed them very much because we didn't have any fire. The Park Service kept saving us for their big bust, which never did happen. It's 51, and the guys over in Missoula are having a great year. They had 12 or 14 fires, and I left Wellstone without a fire. We didn't have a fire there. But the Park Service would pay us overtime for staying around on weekends. Call it standby time. And since Park Service was interior, we got time and a half, overtime rate. Whereas at Missoula, they were getting just a straight $1.38. I think was our pay then, $1.38. And they got straight $1.38. We got like two something.
Oh, that's a good life. So that was the year the Korean War started, right? I mean, some of those...
It's right in there.
Yeah, so
Right
didn't a bunch of jumpers just suddenly disappear and go away with the CIA?
Well, see, I was up there with those old men. They call them old men, the returnees. And the CIA came into 9 Mile, and they'd call a guy down to interview, and they'd go down and interview. And if they agreed to go with CIA, they'd come back up to the barracks, and mum was the word. They wouldn't say nothing. We were all anxious to know, what is it? They wouldn't say anything. I really wanted to go in the worst way, but they were looking for college graduates. I don't know why they wanted older people, but I was never called. And
did they just leave then, or was it?
They took the Bob Cochran. Bob Cochran.
Art Cochran.
He was in charge of the whole project.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he left then too.
So
they left right before the fire season. They all left in June.
So Bob or Art? Both.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask Gorsuch about
Yeah.
that. The one that Cochran, I remember that name.
Yeah.
He was in charge of the whole project, out at 9 Mile at least.
And they just left.
He's like the Fred Bauer. Yeah, they just gone. Garth Orsrud was one of them. The names I can remember. Yeah, some of those guys never came back either. One kid from Havre, I don't remember his name. But they wanted him to jump behind. Well, we understood they wanted to jump behind lines and set up radio communications and do that kind of stuff in Korea, we thought. I don't know if that's what happened or not.
Yeah. Kind of lost the bubble on him then. They didn't really know whatever happened to him.
Not until they got to Vietnam, I guess. So.
Yeah.
But Wally Dobbins went in there. He joined too. Went. There was a kid from here by the name of Jimmy Barber that went.
Was he Salish?
Jimmy Barber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who was, remember the guy from Havre?
No, I can't remember that name. I don't remember now.
So these guys were experienced jumpers.
Yeah. At the same time, another exciting thing happened was Red Skies over Montana was being filmed. And that was going on while we were doing our training. And some of the guys got to, jump. They had one jump during when they're given the cast and all that. There was a parachute jump. And 8 or 10 of the guys got to do that jump. And so that was pretty good. And we got into some of the group shots where they needed a group of people. When they given the cast, there's these trucks going up the side of the hill, and we were sitting in the back of that truck. That kind of stuff. And they paid us to stay out there on the weekend, just to be around one weekend or a couple of weekends. We stay around there and watch them shoot those scene after scene.
So now who was Bauer?
Fred Bauer.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Smokejumper foreman all through the 50s and early 60s.
So he replaced Cochran after Cochran
Yeah,
left.
he must have. I don't know.
Yeah, but he was up there.
Yeah, because I went the first 2 years. I was very timely. I came back and went through training and went back to West Yellowstone, and then the third year I had to finish school, and so I went to summer school and didn't jump the third year. Then the fourth year I went back out, and Bauer was the foreman then. So somewhere in there he became the foreman.
Mm-hmm. You jumped 4 years?
Yeah.
In that fourth year, do you remember anything about that?
It was a little, both those years, 54 and 55 were real poor fire years. But 54, I became a rigger because I was married then and living in the strip houses. So I was a rigger then, and because we were around all of it, everybody wanted to get out on project because it was a poor year and save their money. So riggers, we got to top the jump list all the time, and I think we got 6 fires that summer. And then the next year, 55, was another year when there wasn't much activity. And I think I got 2 fires before I left.
Well, now, were you the first Native American? Or Barber was there before you, I take it?
No, I was before Barber. I was a fellow from Minnesota by the name of Anawash. He's from White Earth, Minnesota. He later worked as a ranger up at Columbia Falls. But that's what Jack Nash was, the foreman there of the loft. I never knew Anawash, but I asked him. He said, yeah, it was Anawash. He's a paratrooper during World War II and came into the Smokejumpers. Then I was probably the second one.
Was it just, I mean, there have been a lot of Native American jumpers since you.
Well, what happened is, after I went, my uncle was on the tribal council here. And after I went, and they're kind of afraid of it, thought it was a dangerous thing, or people just crazy would do that.
The tribal council thought that?
Yeah, people out here, but after I went, and, they thought it was a thing to do. And so they cut a deal with Smokejumpers that they would give them use them in the tribal force here if they would train so many. And so that's how Barber and Claremonts and all those guys got in.
And that explains why I was on a project up here one time. Yeah.
Probably.
I never. That's interesting.
Larry made it on his own. Larry was a landless, he came in 55. He was probably about the third Smokejumper that was in you.
Larry Anderson?
Yeah.
Is he from up here?
He was from Missoula. Kind of a Catholic kid, orphan kid. Not orphan kid, though. Single mother with a whole bunch of kids. And so he was all around Missoula.
So what'd you get your degree in at the university? Or did you go to the university?
Well, that was a neat story, too. I was down in West Yellowstone, you know, and I was spending my money pretty fast. And Lou Rechelou came down there. Lou had been teaching. He used to come out and referee. I got acquainted with him when I was at Dixon. He had a good friend at Dixon. He'd come out and spend weekends with his friend at Dixon, and we'd play basketball in the gym. And so we got to be a good friend. Anyway, he had taught at, first coaching job was at Dillon High School when he got out of college. And so he and his friend from Dixon were down there on one of their vacations. And so I got drinking beer with him one night. He said, "Joe, what are you going to do?" "Oh, I don't know." I said, "I'd like to go to college, but I'm not saving any money. So I think I'm going to join the service." You know, the Korean War was on. He says, "Oh, when I get back to Dillon," he says, "I'll get you a scholarship." Sure, so we drank to that. He was around town a few more days, and then he left. And I got about a week or two, here come this letter from Coach Straw, and the scholarship, pay everything. I mean, he did that.
Well,
So I went to Western.
You went to Western, you played sports for them?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I was in top shape, you know, in those days, and so in football I was played halfback, and I was selected to the all-conference football team as a freshman. The team voted me the most valuable player on the team.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat for a freshman. And then I played basketball, and Butte High School had a really good football team in those days. We had a bunch of Butte guys on our team, and was it in Dahlberg? Was it Harry?
Yeah.
Dahlberg?
Yeah.
Him and Coach Dahlberg. In those days, when for the state championship, they played Thanksgiving Day, and they had about a week or 2 week layoff there. And Coach Dahlberg, Harry wanted a game. So these guys from Butte Rats, we call them, they put together a team, and Coach Straw would have nothing to do with it. So they went down to the high school, and Ben Tyvon was the coach there. He's an old Anaconda guy. And so Ben gave them the Dillon uniforms and equipment, and they put together a team. And I was playing basketball, really doing well, but they were short a halfback. And those guys had voted me the most valuable and all that stuff. So last night I went out and I worked out with them and went up to Butte and broke my collarbone.
Jeez.